Welcome to the Transformative Neurotherapy Podcast with your host, Dr. Heather Putney, founder and executive director of Transformative Neurotherapy. This is the place where healing happens faster. Because let's face it, your brain doesn't come with an owner's manual until now. Here, we take a holistic approach to brain health, bringing together science, mind-body harmony, and the tools you need to optimize your well-being. Whether you're a high performer, executive, athlete, longevity hacker, or just someone tired of your brain working against you, Dr. Putney is here to help you unlock your full potential. From brain fog to chronic stress, we're covering it all so you can finally experience brain health, mind harmony, and total well-being. Ready to get unstuck? Let's get started.
But its future holds even more promise. Today, we're exploring where the company is headed and how it plans to shape the next era of neurotherapy innovation. Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Heather Putney, founder and executive director of Transformative Neurotherapy, back in the studio with Dr. Nick Dogris, a pioneer and maverick in the field of neurostimulation. We're super grateful to have you here. And our last session, we did a much bigger intro. So if you're curious to hear a little bit more about the background of Dr. Dogris, please listen to our previous episode. But we're just going to jump right in and kind of find out, what do you have on the books? What's the vision for the future of the field of neurostimulation?
Thank you for having me. That's a great question. In your intro, you talk about your brain doesn't come with an owner's manual. And, I'd like to think that we're actually helping to write that manual, or to help us to better understand what that manual is all about. So where are we going? For 18 years now, we've been building software and devices and a modality to help to rehabilitate and treat the human brain. And it turns out that now we're actually at the place where we've come full circle. NeuroField is an ecosystem from top to bottom. We measure the organ that we're going to treat. We measure your brain, and then we analyze that data, and we take a really deep look at what that brain is doing. And then we match those symptoms match your brain information to your symptoms. And then we say, oh, okay, well, it's doing this, and this is what you say is going on. And then we have to generate a protocol and figure out how we're going to use, cranial stimulation and all these energetic techniques that we have to help to rehabilitate you. And the biggest question over the years with almost every neurofield practitioner is, what do you give for what? Because there's so many ways of addressing the brain for different varied conditions: depression, anxiety, ADHD, traumatic brain injury, opioid dependence, alcohol dependence, PTSD. I mean, you name it, the list goes way, 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 way on. And at the end of the day, all those labels point at the brain, right? And we said, wow, okay, we need a way to address this that's more comprehensive. In the NeuroField system, I think I've written well over 500 protocols in that system, and just for varied things in the brain. And so there's that many options. That's a lot of choices to make as a practitioner, to have to choose one. And so then I said, you know what, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so I decided a couple of years ago to build a repository where we could put this brain information into a place where we could start to automate it and look at it in a different way. And so I built a cloud-based repository where when you measure the brain, that data redacts the personal information, and it flies this neurological information to the cloud. And based on your diagnosis, it puts it in a certain bucket. Well, these buckets started to get filled over time. And once we got enough information in each bucket, we started to use AI to start to look at, what are those buckets and what do they look like? What are how are they different from each other? Are there specific markers or biomarkers in those buckets that would help us to identify depression or anxiety or something like that?
Dr. Dogris, can I just insert a quick question? I think it's maybe the researcher in me or the scientist in me myself. I'm really curious to know, like, about how many profiles or how many scans do you have in this repository that you're now utilizing for this use?
So right now we have it's a little over 5,000 people in the repository with well over 6,500 records. So yeah, and we have to run. We're getting, all the neurofield practitioners have access to this repository, and so we're getting several hundred uploads per week now. And the more people we get in it, the higher the resolution. It's kind of like watching a black and white TV versus an 8K TV. Now our resolution is getting really, really granular and fine tuned. And it's to the point now where we've been able to identify specific classifiers. So we can match you to different people in different diagnostic categories like developmental disorders like autism or ADHD, or degenerative disorders like dementia or Alzheimer's disorder, um, PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. What else? Anxiety, depression, traumatic brain injury, concussion, substance abuse like alcohol or opioid addiction, personality disorders. There's a number of different buckets that we have now, and when we fly the data up there, we do this really cool matching that matches your data to the bucket, and the one that's significant statistically, then we go, oh, that's a match. How is it a match? And then we start looking. We take the brain and we create a three-dimensional image of it, and we figure out what parts of the brain are the match. And then we say, what does that part of the brain do? And we say, oh, does it match your symptoms? And if it's a yes, and we keep on hitting a yes all the way through, then what we do is we give AI. I wrote a number of protocols. I took my protocols and I put them in a big, big document that we give to AI. And the AI now we say, oh, you're a neurofield practitioner. We want you to take this data that we have, this matching data, and we want you to pick a protocol from this AI repository that we created, and I want you to put it in a document and make a suggestion to the practitioner. And again, it's not the doctor; it's just making a match and a suggestion. So it's really cool because now the AI can do things that, frankly, I cannot. It can hyper quantify the data, and it can look at it in a way that we haven't been able to look at before. So where are we going? We're going to the next level of quantified EEG using AI driven data technology that can make predictions, that can make suggestions, and that can make comparisons and tell us what the comparisons are, which is my future project here that's going to be out probably in the next month, is the comparison analysis that's AI driven. So we can take your data, we can put it up there, we can generate a protocol and give it back to you. And you go, oh, okay, that's great. And then you could use it in clinical practice, make some alterations to it, if you will, run it, and then run another analysis. And we can do this comparison to see what changed. And now we're using AI to actually write the language and the vernacular around what changed. So it's really cool because now we're kind of rolling the rock uphill here, and we're getting it to the point where we can start to see more, what the changes are, how they changed, what protocol caused the change, and then actually be able to start to rate these protocols with different weights, if you will, that will allow us to know, well, this one's really effective for this one's really effective for that, and then start to inform the users about this process and the score of each protocol. And so now it's more of a rating system where we can have more validity and reliability methods behind the protocols that have been written, and more data to say, wow, this one works about 80% of the time. Yeah. So that's the mission now. And that's from a software perspective, which we continue to grow. And then from a hardware perspective, I have a couple of new ideas that I've put into the hopper with my engineers. And this next idea is one I can't publicly talk about it yet, but it is going to take a couple of years to do. But it expands, just as a teaser, it expands all the ideas that we've been working on, and in a way that is going to uh, really, I think, push the field forward and, create another level of mental health and substance abuse treatment that has not been available otherwise. People, they have certain tools at their disposal that they can use, certain modalities that are available to them. But this is something that is non-invasive. It's safe. It's effective. The software is going to continue to evolve, and we're gonna keep on rolling it forward here. Yeah, I'm really excited about where we're going with it and what's going to happen.
That's really exciting. And as you talk about this repository and all these scans that you've created, and all these kind of the way you're guiding the treatment, I'm just curious of what age ranges can you work with? Like, is this valid for kids as well as adults? Like, can you help give me a little bit of idea of like who this is going to help as far as clinically?
Yeah, yeah. It's from the very young. You can go down to infant level all the way up to the very old. Um, our normative database right now generates what's called Z scores from 8 to 80 years of age. And so 8 to 80. But, we do have percentile data for beyond those ranges. So infants all the way down to, I think, all the way down to like 1.5 are in the repository. Yeah. So we have some really young pediatric EEGs in there and some very, very old EEGs in there as well. So, yeah, a lot of brains.
Wow, that's really exciting. I just the work that you do is just really incredible, and I can just see the wheels spinning right there as far as where you're going next. So I can't wait to maybe 6 months from now or so have you back and just see how far you've come by then, because this is you. It's like you're on a treadmill. I mean, you're moving this needle really fast in this field.
Thank you. Yeah, it goes fast. It goes fast. I think, yeah, it's been, I think, the biggest boon and the biggest criticism of my career because, we do things that are really rapid. And when people step away from our little ecosystem and then come back to revisit to see what we're up to, we're in a different galaxy. And they're like, "Oh my God, you're doing that now?" I'm like, "Yeah, we don't stop. We don't look back." It's one of our mottos. Brad and I said that years ago. We don't look back. We just keep on looking forward.
Well, that's really exciting. Well, I can't wait to see where NeuroField is and like in the future, but it's super exciting to see all that you've created for all of us out here. And just thank you so much for your time today, and I hope to see you again in the future.
Thank you. Be glad to come back sometime.
You've been listening to the Transformative Neurotherapy Podcast with Dr. Heather Putney. Remember, your brain isn't supposed to hold you back. It's supposed to power you forward. So stop letting it crash your party and start letting it do its job. If you're ready to optimize brain health, sharpen your focus, and age like a fine wine, schedule your free consultation today at transformativeneurotherapy.org or call us at 412-204-7397. Because here, healing happens faster. See you next time.